There is something about Texas that teaches you where not to look. You back the truck up to the boat ramp without glancing at the reeds. You walk the caliche road to the mailbox in flip-flops, past the brush pile, past the culvert, and you do not think, not once, about what might be lying in the shade of it. That is not carelessness. It is a kind of treaty the whole state seems to have signed, that the wild things live somewhere else. In the documentaries, out in Big Bend, in the deep brush country where nobody goes, not here, not on this ranch road, not under this dock, but the animals never signed it. They are in the reeds. They are under the dock, and the people who live closest to them are usually the ones who have trained themselves hardest not to see them. Today we are counting down 11 predators that live in Texas in numbers most residents would refuse to believe, ranked not by which one is deadliest on paper, but by how completely the people sharing ground with them have agreed to pretend they are not there. By the time we reach number 1, you may understand why the quietest animal on this list is the one nobody will admit they see every day. Before we start, if this is the kind of thing that keeps your mind turning after dark, go ahead and subscribe. It takes 2 seconds and it helps the channel. And while you are here, I want to know one thing. Where in the world are you watching from right now? Drop your town in the comments. I love seeing how far these reach. Now let's get into the list. Number 11, the bobcat. We begin with a rumor that lives in all 254 counties of Texas. The bobcat is found in every corner of the state, piney woods, desert edges, the green belt behind a San Antonio subdivision, and almost nobody ever lays eyes on one. That is the whole design of a bobcat. An adult weighs 15 to 35 pounds, a house cat redrawn leaner and far more capable. It hunts along the exact seams where neighborhoods run out and the brush begins, the drainage easement, the dead-end lot, the golf course at first light. The denial here is nearly total. A resident reports a huge cat and decides it must have been someone's escaped pet, because the other answer, that a wild predator keeps a hunting circuit along their back fence, does not fit the story they tell about where they live. It earns number 11 because it is the perfect door into this list. The most successful predators in Texas are the ones you have already decided are not real. Number 10, the coyote. If the bobcat is a ghost, the coyote is a city that keeps expanding. What most Texans get wrong is not whether it is here. Everyone knows the coyote is here, but where? It is confirmed in every one of the state's 254 counties, and it has walked straight into the middle of the cities. There are coyotes denning inside the Houston Loop, crossing parking lots in Dallas, working the greenbelts of Austin. An adult runs 20 to 35 pounds and eats almost anything, down to the outdoor cat or small dog left near the tree line after dark. Here is the denial. When a coyote crosses a lit parking lot, the mind reaches for stray dog, because that is the only file most people keep. It is easier to believe a pet got loose than to accept a wild canid has made the storm drains and ball fields its territory. Number 10 belongs to the predator that moved into the city while everyone agreed it was still out in the country. Number 9, the copperhead. Now we move from the animals people mistake for something else to the animal people simply step over. The copperhead is responsible for more venomous bites than any other snake in the state, and almost none of them are fatal, which is exactly why it belongs here. A copperhead is a master of doing nothing. Its copper and hourglass pattern dissolves into dead leaves so completely that people stand a foot away and see only ground. It does not rattle. It does not flee. It trusts that you will not notice, and most of the time you don't. It lives in the leaf litter of East Texas woods and in suburban flower beds. The denial is in the arithmetic. People assure themselves there are no snakes around here as they garden bare-handed in prime copperhead cover. The bite, when it comes, lands on a hand or an ankle that reached into a place the eye had already cleared. Number 9 goes to the snake you have probably already stepped over this year. Number 8, the cottonmouth. If the copperhead is the snake on land, the cottonmouth is the one that ruins the water. Also called the water moccasin, it lives across the eastern half of Texas, in exactly the places people go to cool off: the stock tank, the cypress swamp, the edge of the farm pond. A cottonmouth is thick-bodied and dark, and when cornered it throws its head back and gapes, showing the white cotton lining that gives it its name. Its venom is hemotoxic, and a serious bite is a genuine medical emergency. Here is the denial. Every dark shape in Texas water gets waved off. Just a rat snake, just a stick. People swim where cottonmouths bask and tell themselves the water is empty, because looking too closely would change how the afternoon feels. The moccasin is woven into the same swimming holes and fishing banks families return to every summer. Number 8 belongs to the snake that turns the water you trust into water you have decided not to think about. Number 7. The western diamondback rattlesnake. Now we reach the snake everyone pictures and nobody expects to actually meet. The western diamondback is the most dangerous snake in Texas by the only measure that counts. It causes more serious bites and more snakebite deaths than any other species. Its range is not some remote corner. It covers most of Texas, from the hill country to the brush country to the edges of West Texas towns. A big diamondback commonly runs 3 to 4 feet, and large specimens exceed 6, with a body as thick as a man's wrist and fangs long enough to drive venom deep. It gives a warning, that dry, unmistakable rattle, but will not always use it. And it holds its ground where a lot of snakes would run. It lives in the mesquite and rock piles, in the tall grass beside the trail people walk every morning. The denial is the confidence. People stride through prime rattlesnake country in shorts and low shoes, certain they would hear it coming. It is coiled in the shade beside the path you know by heart, doing the one thing it is built to do, which is wait. Number 7 goes to the snake everyone can picture and almost nobody watches for. Number 6, the Africanized honeybee. We are right at the halfway mark, and if you are still here, you are clearly someone who actually wants to know what is out there, so hit subscribe if you haven't yet, because from here the list stops being something you can walk away from. Now to the predator that does not look like one. The Africanized honeybee, the so-called killer bee, has been established in Texas since 1990, when the first colony crossed the border into Hidalgo County. To the eye, it is nothing. A honeybee, indistinguishable from the gentle kind without a lab. The difference is entirely in temper. An Africanized colony defends its nest with a ferocity ordinary bees never show. It answers a disturbance with 10 times the stingers, pursues a threat for a quarter mile, and does not call off the attack when a European colony would. It has killed people and livestock in Texas, usually someone running a mower or bumping a wall cavity where a colony had moved in. The denial is the disguise. Nobody flinches at a bee. So the swarm in the water meter box, the colony in the hollow fence post, gets ignored until the moment it isn't. Number 6 belongs to the predator hiding inside the most familiar insect in the yard. Number 5, the black bear. There is a real, breeding, expanding population of black bears in Texas, and the average residence map of the state has no room for it. Cattle, oil, coastline, hill country, but not bears. And yet the black bear is here, protected by the state as a threatened species, quietly walking back into ground it was driven out of a century ago. The story is one of return. Pushed to near nothing by the early 20th century, bears have been recolonizing from two directions. Up out of Mexico into the Trans-Pecos, where breeding populations now hold in the Chisos and Guadalupe Mountains, and eastward out of Louisiana and Arkansas into the Big Thicket. In 2025, Texas Parks and Wildlife confirmed sightings across several East Texas counties. An adult male commonly weighs 200 to 300 pounds. A black bear is not a hunter of people, and it would rather leave than fight. But it is powerful, it learns fast, and a bear that has connected neighborhoods with easy food, the unsecured dumpster, the dog bowl on the porch, becomes a genuine hazard, and people create that without meaning to. The denial lives in the surprise. "I had no idea there were bears here," said in a county that has quietly had them for years. Number 5. Number 4. The feral hog. Now we reach the animal Texas cannot get rid of and mostly refuses to reckon with. There are an estimated 2.5 to nearly 3 million feral hogs in Texas, roughly half of every wild hog in the United States, and they occupy every county in the state but one. Only El Paso on the far western tip has kept them out. A boar can push past 200 pounds, armored in gristle, tusked, and fast. And it does something most large animals will not. It stands its ground, and it will charge. They travel in groups called sounders, and Texas Parks and Wildlife and the USDA put the damage across the state at more than $500 million a year. In 2024, a sounder tore up parkland in the city of Kyle, just outside Austin. The denial is the scale. People know feral hogs exist the way they know traffic exists. A nuisance, a rural problem, someone else's fence. What they do not picture is the number or the aggression, or that the hogs now push into subdivisions at night, drawn to water and watered lawns. Number 4 belongs to the 3 million animals nobody can quite bring themselves to count. Number 3, the mountain lion. We have arrived at the real apex predator of the Texas wild, and it is so rarely seen that its rarity has curdled into a myth that it is gone. It is not gone. Several thousand mountain lions, one recent figure put it near 5,600, though nobody truly knows, move through Texas right now, concentrated in the Trans-Pecos and the Big Bend, with scattered reports across the South Texas brush and the hill country. A large male can weigh over 150 pounds and range across hundreds of square miles, hunting deer and feral hogs through the cedar and rimrock, tawny and silent and almost never seen. And here is the fact that sets Texas apart from every other state that has this animal. Texas is the only one that does not manage it. The mountain lion is classified as non-game. It can be killed year-round by nearly any method, with no season and no limit, and until very recently, no requirement to even report it. The state that shares ground with thousands of them was, for decades, not counting them at all. Only in December of 2025 did Texas Parks and Wildlife finally publish a plan to research and monitor them. Here the denial inverts. With most animals on this list, people insist a present predator is absent. With the lion, they have decided it is simply gone. A legend, a mascot, a thing of the old days, when in truth it is out there in the dark, moving through ranch land at the exact edge of a state growing faster than almost anywhere in the country. Number 3 belongs to the ghost Texas. Talks about as a memory while it is still very much alive. Number 2, the bull shark. Now we come to the one that breaks people. Everyone accepts that there are sharks off the Texas coast. That is the deal you make with the Gulf. What almost nobody lets themselves think about is that one particular shark does not stay in the Gulf. The bull shark swims up the rivers. It swims into the brown, fresh water that runs 100 miles from any beach. The bull shark is broad and powerful, and the females reach around 11 feet and several hundred pounds. It carries a gift almost no other large shark has. It can regulate the salt in its body and move freely from salt water into fresh. Texas Parks and Wildlife notes bull sharks have been found many miles up the state's rivers, and a dead one turned up in the Trinity River some 40 miles inland near Liberty. And the estuaries where the Trinity, the Sabine, and the Neches meet the sea have become nurseries. The number of young sharks there climbing sharply as the Gulf warms. This is the denial that costs the most to hold. The man wade fishing a coastal river at dusk, the family floating a tidal stretch on inner tubes. They are sharing that murky water with an animal perfectly built for it, one that followed the tide inland with no sign to mark the crossing. There is no fence, there is no line on the water. The fresh water is not a refuge from the shark. To the bull shark, it is simply more territory. Number 2 goes to the predator that ignored the one rule everyone counted on it to keep. Number 1, the American alligator. And so we arrive at number 1, and it is, of course, the alligator. Not because it is the most exotic animal on this list, but because it is the one Texas has most perfected the art of not seeing. There are an estimated 400,000 to 500,000 alligators in Texas, spread across roughly 120 counties, from the Sabine River east across the coastal marshes toward the Rio Grande, and the gap between that number and the way people behave around water is the strangest thing in this whole state. Think about what 500,000 means. The retention pond behind the office park has one. The water hazard on the coastal golf course has one. The bayou behind the subdivision, the slow green river the airboats run, all of it. Gator habitat, because the gator lives in essentially every fresh and brackish waterway across the eastern third of the state. An adult male commonly passes 10 feet. The largest ever taken in Texas measured 14 feet and 4 inches. It is an ambush hunter of extraordinary patience, motionless at the waterline for hours, invisible in dark water, with a strike that closes in a fraction of a second. Texas has recorded a human death from one, and Texas has simply absorbed it. People jog past the pond gator the way city commuters step over a subway grate. The denial here is not that the alligator is absent. Everyone knows it is there. It is the daily, load-bearing pretense that it does not matter. That the gator in the neighborhood lake is a fixture, a feature, almost a pet. Right up until the morning, it is not. Wildlife managers warn that the most dangerous alligators are the ones people have fed, the ones that have lost their fear. And habituation is something humans manufacture, one tossed marshmallow at a time, in the exact ponds where children play. The alligator is number 1 because it is the purest version of the whole list, a true apex predator, 500,000 strong, living in the water beside us, made invisible not by stealth but by familiarity. We did not stop seeing it because it hid. We stopped seeing it because it never left, and looking would mean changing how we live. So here is what this list is really about. Not fear. Fear is easy, and it burns off by morning. It is about the agreement, the quiet one, that lets a state pour its subdivisions and boat ramps and backyard decks over a food chain that is still completely intact and entirely indifferent to the people moving through it. The bobcat is still on the fence line at first light. The bull shark is still riding the tide upriver. And somewhere out past a ranch road you have driven 100 times, a mountain lion. The state never bothered to count as moving through the dark, alive in a place that mostly decided it was a legend. What is known is that the water is the same water whether or not you are looking at it, that the animals were here before the roads had names, and that the surface of every pond and river and stock tank in Texas tells you almost nothing about what is holding still beneath it. Waiting. The way it has waited since long before there was anyone here to pretend otherwise.